380,000 Instagram followers. So if Instagram was a sport, he would be world class. But no, seriously, he's got an incredible invention in the slingshot that you guys have all used. So Mark patented that, invented that, took it to market, and has built a virtual empire around these products. And so, he is now good enough to just cruise around, share his wisdom and share his experience. And so we're lucky to have him today. So I will not talk anymore. This is Mark Bell, everybody.
So it was December 10th, 2008. That's my birthday, is December 10th. And you guys want to continue communicating with me and send me a present, I'd appreciate that. But it's December 10th and it's 2008. And I am just plowing through food like there's no tomorrow. My goal and my lifetime dream was to break all-time powerlifting records. Records that were not set just in particular weight classes or set at particular ages or set due to some other circumstances. It wasn't state championships. It wasn't national championships. These were all-time world records that I was chasing. So on December 10th, 2008, I'm plowing through food because I have a contest December 13th. I'm pounding through food. I get my ice cream cake every year. That's the way I celebrate it. I always throw down some ice cream cake. This is years ago when I was massive. I was about going into this competition. I think I was competing at about 320 pounds or so, or most of my training was at 320 pounds. But as I got closer to a contest, I would reduce the amount of training that I did, and I'd get to eat a lot more food. So I'd gain 10, 15 pounds going into a competition, and when I went to do the lift was easier than eating that ice cream cake. I go and I compete, and the night before I compete, tradition has it, I talk to both of my brothers. I call my brother Chris. My brother Chris and I competed and shared the platform many times as a kid. I started lifting at the age of 12. I lied to get to my first powerlifting meet. I wasn't old enough. You're supposed to be at least a teenager. My brother and I competed for a long time. My oldest brother, Mad Dog Mike Bell, was a professional wrestler. He wrestled The Undertaker, Bret the Hitman Hart, and you name him. He wrestled on Monday Night Raw back in the day when Monday Night Raw was just starting out. It was really exciting. He was a hero to me as a kid. I get ready for the competition. I'm talking to these guys the night before. I talk to my brother Chris. My brother Chris is like, hey man, don't forget, you've been setting out your whole life to do this, and now it's fucking right in front of you. The opportunity is there. He's like, you've put in the work. The work has already happened. He's like, so don't get too nervous. Don't get too fired up. Just know that the work is behind you, and what you're going to do on game day is probably going to be the best performance you've ever had in your life, because the work's already done. You've already been busting your ass. I call my brother Mad Dog. He's more negative, and he's like, hey, listen, motherfucker, you got to know, you suck at deadlift. And I'm like, thanks. He's like, you're gonna fuck up on the deadlift. He's like, I know it. He's like, it happens every time. He's like, I don't even need to go to the meet. He's like, you're not working hard enough on your deadlifts. And I'm thinking, fuck, man, this is a shitty thing to try to swallow, especially the night before I'm about to compete. And he's like, you gotta put more into that deadlift. You gotta make sure you hold on to it, because that's what it's gonna come down to. So in a powerlifting meet, we start out the meet with a squat, then we do a bench press, and then we do a deadlift. And it's 3 of the heaviest lifts that you can possibly do in one day. And when you wake up the next day, you feel like you got run over by a fucking train. It's pretty brutal. Even though you're just doing 1 rep, it's your all-out max, so you feel like shit. And oftentimes, when it comes to the deadlift, you're just exhausted. You don't have anything left. So my brother and I are going back and forth. And finally, I say, you know what? I say, fuck you. I said, I'm going tomorrow, and I'm breaking that fucking record. And the next conversation we have is going to be about me breaking the fucking record. And I said, I'm going to do it because of you. I'm going to do it for you, just to shove it back in your face. Just friendly back and forth brother shit, right? I go and compete the next day, have the best performance of my life. I only missed 1 lift. I get down to the final deadlift of the competition, where I needed to pull 750 pounds. My previous best deadlift in a competition is 705. So this is a real... Just like I'm playing that over and over again in my head about what my brother said. And I start pacing back and forth. My friend is there. My friend Jesse Burdick is there. And he just looks at me and he just yells to me. He's like, he's about to come over and say something. He sees the look in my eye. He's like, oh shit. He's like, you look fucking crazy. So he backs away for a second. He backs away and he says, hey, go find whatever you need to find and go out there and fucking do that deadlift. So I go out there, I go to pull on the bar, the weight's shimmying up, I'm shaking all over the place because my body's absolutely fried. I finally lean back and I lock the weight out at full extension. My grip is giving out. Right as the head judge gives me the down command, I put the weight down, I get the lift, I break the all-time world record. One of the problems is that powerlifting meets take fucking forever. I don't know why this is, but they start late and they end really late. And it's like now 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, I ain't gonna bother anybody, calling my brother or anything like that. I'm just gonna go to bed and I'll talk to these guys in the morning. I'll tell my oldest brother, Mad Dog, what I did. Next morning, I'm thinking about it a little bit. I'm like, I need to get my ass back in the gym because I have a team, I'm a coach, and that team looks up to me, and I want them to know, doesn't matter what you did the fucking day before, we got today to put the most amount of work in. So I go to the gym, I get my training session done, I get home, I sit down, I'm about ready to relax, I get a phone call. And it's from my dad. And my dad's like, hey man, it's your brother Mike. I was like, fuck. We had a lot of trouble with my brother Mike throughout the years. He was addicted to painkillers, cocaine, alcohol, you name it, and he fucked with it. So my dad says, your brother, he's gone, man, he's dead. And I was just like, what the fuck? I hear my mom screaming in the background. My mom is yelling, no, it's not true. It's not true. And so I'm just like, holy fuck, man, what am I gonna do now? So I almost throw up because I'm so upset. I've never been that upset in my life. I'm kind of like stir crazy. I'm trying to like tell my wife what happened, but she hears me crying, so she knows some crazy shit happened. She knows we had a lot of problems with Mike. I go to like just try to hide. I'm trying to like scramble just to get away from everybody. And I pop open the door and there's my son, and he's like 7 or 8 or whatever he is at the time. I go to pop open another door and there's my daughter, and she's even younger and even cuter, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is all just killing me too bad. So that night I spent at a friend's house just trying to decompress and trying to collect my thoughts. I talked to my brother Chris the next day, and he said, hey man, he goes, I know that Mike was always hard on you. I know he was always kind of like negative, giving you that negative reinforcement, but he really loved you. He really meant for you to succeed. He wanted to see you do the best. And he knew that nobody in this world works as hard as they should. Nobody in this world works as hard as they should. Think about your days and think about all the corners that you have in a day. We all have those little corners. We can sit there on Instagram and we can zoom in on girls' asses, or we can get to work and we can get to start doing what we're supposed to do. He's laughing. He knows what's up. What time did you guys wake up this morning? 4:30. What time? 4:30. Anybody else earlier than that?
8 o'clock.
Anybody else earlier than that besides me? How many workouts did you guys do today? I'm ahead of you guys on that as well. Every corner in the day is an opportunity to make yourselves better. I'm not trying to say that to be a dick. I know that you guys have more genetic potential in your fucking pinky than I'll ever have. I understand that. And I know that you guys work really hard, so I'm not discrediting anything you guys are doing. Just realize that each and every day that we have is something that we have an opportunity to work towards and work for being better. You don't have to be a fucking lunatic about it, and you don't have to be weird. You don't have to be that dude that's off in the corner just pacing back and forth, ready to chew the tires off a bus 24/7. You don't have to take it that far, but you can realize that each and every day is an opportunity to get better. And when people are talking about being great, be really careful, because that's a slippery slope. That's what killed my brother. My brother wanted to be great. He wanted to be the next Undertaker. He wanted to be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he didn't realize that in order to be great, there's one major factor with being great. You have to be good. You have to be good first before you're going to be great, right? You have to be good. Being great means that you're good on a consistent basis for a really long time. And you think about each and every day that we go through, and you think about the friends that you have, and you think about, you guys are surrounded. You guys are going to Stanford. You guys are going to all these great colleges. And now you guys have got an opportunity to go to the pros. We already know your genetics are through the roof. We already know that you guys have put in a lot of work. Well, now it's time to kick that shit up a notch. It's time to, you don't get from life doesn't just give you these opportunities. They have to be earned. Things don't just automatically float your way. As I'm going through life and as I'm building up my business and stuff, I think that people think that shit just magically fucking appears out of the sky. It doesn't. I've been training since I was 11 years old. I've been doing this stuff for a really long time. And what I'm realizing each and every day is an opportunity to get yourself better. There's these corners in each and every day that people tend to cut. And they cut them so much as they start to go around the corners. They're like, yeah, I'll go around that corner because I have to. I got to bring my kid to school. Yep, got to bring my kid to baseball. I'll do that. I don't want to prepare a meal. I'll just roll through In-N-Out Burger. You know, I don't feel like reading something. I'd rather just watch TV. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. Then we have movement and we have activity without any fucking progress at all, without moving forward at all. You can make it seem like you're doing a lot. It can feel like you're doing a lot, but you're not actually moving forward towards your goal. Look at Tom Brady. Look at Jerry Rice. Look at the example guys like that have laid out for you guys. Head down, working. Head down, working. Tom Brady. You're not the prototypical quarterback. You're not this, you're not that. He puts all that in here. He translates that into everything he's translated it into, right? That guy's not cutting any corners anymore. As you continue to stop cutting corners, you will build tremendous amounts of willpower. Where do you guys think training starts? Training doesn't start in your biceps. Training doesn't start in your pecs. It starts between your fucking ears. It starts in your brain. You made a conscious decision. You made a conscious decision somewhere along the line that you weren't strong enough, that you didn't look good enough. You made some sort of decision somewhere. You weren't good enough at something. And so think about that when you're training, when you're in the gym. You're trying to live up to a certain standard that you're setting for yourself. So if we go back to my story, I'll tie this all together. My brother passes on. I'm trying to pick up the pieces, and I don't know what to do with myself, as with many people when a sibling or somebody in the family passes away. I'm trying to think of all the stuff that we shared over the years and the conversations that we had and the conversation we had on his last day that I had the opportunity to talk to him. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I owe it to him. He's the one that showed me how to lift in the first place. He's the one that stuck a barbell on my back. And this isn't like, we weren't bodybuilding. We didn't have curl bars and we didn't have all this other stuff. We didn't have machines. We had a bench, we had a place to squat, and we had a place to deadlift. I have no idea how my dad figured out that that's the stuff that we needed, but that's what we had, and that's what my brother made me do. My brother stuck a barbell on my back, and I was like, that shit hurts. I want to use that little foam pad. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, there's no way I'm letting you use that foam pad. So anyway, he passes on. We're trying to pick up the pieces of the puzzle. And I take a few days off from the gym, which I've never done before. I train every day. I roll into the gym, and I'm like, you know what? There's a contest coming up. I want to kind of dedicate that to him. I'll invite my brother Chris out. And it's the biggest competition of the year. It's in Los Angeles. It's at the Los Angeles Fit Expo. And so I start preparing for the contest, and right away I'm thinking in my head, hey, you know what? Like, you didn't train for a little bit. You just rolled off another competition. This meet's only just a couple weeks out. And so I'm already telling myself, you got to be careful. But as soon as I get in the gym and as soon as I start thinking about my brother, I start lifting like a fucking maniac. I'm doing a rack deadlift, which is a partial range of motion deadlift. And I put 5 plates on there. Weights are clanking and going all over the place. I put 6 plates on there and I do that for 3 reps. I put 7 plates on there and I do that for 3 reps. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that's weird. Like I've never moved 7, that's 675 pounds. I'm like, I've never in my life moved 675 like that. I'm like, I'm just going to go up and go another plate. So again, my mind is not connected to my body. And I go in and I'm thinking about my brother. I get all fired up and I go to do the lift and tut. And I look down, my bicep rolled up right here. And I'm like, holy fuck. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm not flexing it, but it's up here. So I'm kind of looking at it. I'm kind of confused, but I ultimately know what happened because I've torn my hamstring before. I torn my pec before. I've torn a bunch of shit before, unfortunately. And I go into our bathroom. I didn't even say anything to anybody. I just walked off because I didn't want to even say what happened. I was too emotional about it. I go into the bathroom and I'm just looking at my arm and it's starting to turn black and blue right there on the spot. And I just fucking cry. I just fucking cry so hard that I felt like I was gonna fucking throw up. And I was crying so hard that my bicep tore even more. So I watched it as I'm fucking crying out of control. My bicep slides up even more. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, what is happening? These are all signs. Your mind and body have to be connected to each other. Even though it's a powerful emotion to pull from, you still gotta be fucking careful. I go home that night, I talk to my wife, she's like, you need to just relax. I talked to my brother Chris and I said, hey man, I'm doing the contest. I already committed to it. I already said I'm gonna do it. I fucking signed up for it. I made a commitment to myself and I made a commitment to my brother that I was gonna do it. And so I was dead set on doing it. So I come back into the gym a couple days later. The arm is completely black and blue all the way down into my fingertips, all the way over into my pec. And it's fucking stupid, by the way. I already realize this. And I start training and I'm like, well, what can I do? So I start focusing in. The real life lesson of this is to focus in on the shit that you can do instead of focusing in on the shit that you can't do. Why is it we have such a tendency when coach goes to show us something, goes to show us a certain dance move or something, when he goes to show us something that we immediately think in our head, I can't, he goes to show you something with a clean or a snatch. Maybe right away you're like, can't do it. You can do it. There's always a way. And maybe you can find a different option. Maybe it's not the same exact thing he's talking about, but maybe you can try something that's similar to it. So don't focus in on the shit that you can't do. So I started focusing on everything I can do. And I'm like, what are some movements I can do to mimic a deadlift? Because I still have to deadlift in this contest. So I do everything and anything I can that's not a deadlift. I squat. I do good mornings. I'm doing all kinds of different movements. I'm doing grip training throughout, just trying to make sure my arm isn't bent. A couple weeks go by, my arm starts to heal up a little bit. I start to look a little bit better. I pull a 315-pound deadlift in training, and I'm like, that's as far as I want to take it in training, and we'll see what happens on the platform. I have been preparing to break some of these records my entire life. Everything I had was going into this. My food was a big part of it. My sleep was a big part of it. My dedication all the way through. And as I learned more, I started to adapt more things. I started to pull more things in. If I heard something and it sounded halfway true, I'd wait to see a couple other people do it, and then I'd migrate towards that. And then I'd migrate towards something else. Mobility, I want to see, okay, let me see how these guys do with it before I go wasting a bunch of time doing it. Okay, fuck, it's having a really good response for them, I'm doing it. Didn't matter what it was, food, otherwise, recreational, whatever supplements you want to, you take that whatever way you want. Some of you might have seen Bigger, Stronger, Faster. If you haven't, make sure you check it out. Anyway, I was doing anything and everything I could. And the contest comes along, and I feel more prepared than ever. I feel stronger than ever. The deadlift is a real roll of the dice. I have no idea what's going to happen with that deadlift. So we roll through the first session of squats, and I'm behind a little bit, which is typical. I'm not a great squatter. I think in this particular competition, I ended up with like an 865 squat. Another one of the other guys squatted like 903. We get on the bench press. The bench press is where I always made my money, and is ultimately where I actually made my money. I get on the bench press, and the last guy before me in the competition does like a 606 bench, and my opening bench is 810 pounds. This guy set his first bench. You get 3 attempts. This guy set his first bench high just to even try to like mitigate what I was about to do. He was just trying to like soften the blow of the bench that I was about to stick up. He's the guy that squatted 900 pounds, and he's one of the best lifters in the world at the time. I go out there and boom, 810. I'm walking past him. He's sitting in his chair like this. This is the best lifter in the world. Walking past him. And he looks over at his buddies and he says, we still have one more event to go, by the way. He looks over at his buddies and he says, this game is over. He said, good job. He knew it was over. How good would some of you guys feel if in the third fucking quarter, your opponent looked you in the eye and said, it's over, man. You guys are better than us. See you later. How good would that fucking feel? And of course it wasn't over because that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to shovel some more dirt on those guys because I've been beaten by those guys before, and that's just the way it is when you compete. I go up and, we got to finish the contest out with some deadlifts. I have no idea whether I'm going to be able to even hold on to my deadlift. So my opening deadlift attempt was just 600 just to get some points up on the board. And I'm, holding on to that thing for dear life. And my arm was in quite a bit of pain, but it wasn't hurting any more or any than it was through just some of the training, even with squatting and bench pressing and stuff. It comes down to the deadlift again. And again, I'm thinking about my brother, but then I'm also thinking about, fuck, man, last time I used that for fuel, that didn't really work so good. Fucking blew my arm out. So now I don't know what to do. I want to get psyched up. I want to get fired up, but I kind of feel a little hollow inside. I wasn't able to ever tell him that I broke the record. I wasn't ever able to share that with him. And as I'm getting up for the next lift, I just get hit with emotion. Just like tons of emotion starts to come over me. And I'm just thinking to myself, all I thought about, rather than thinking about like those negative thoughts and thinking about like being angry that he's not here anymore, it was more of a positive thing. And it was just a perspective. All it was a change in perspective. And so I go from having tears in my eyes streaming down my face to having goosebumps head to toe. I'm like, I feel fucking good. I feel blessed that my brother took the time to show me how to lift. I was like, this is going to be really fun. I'm in front of the best lifters in the world, and I get to kick everybody's ass. All I got to do is pick up this last lift. So I go out there, and I was able to pick up the last lift. It was a 705 deadlift. I told you guys earlier that I hit a 750 deadlift, so I didn't need to hit my best deadlift because I already nailed down my best bench press. And I was able to go in there and win that competition. As I share with many people over and over again, strength is never a weakness. You can't overdo this shit. I know coach is telling you to rest. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about all of it as a whole. When you start thinking about the time that you spend in here, you think about people that are really, truly putting up points on the scoreboard. Think about people that you admire. Think about people that are just lighting every day on fire. Someone like The Rock. You look at some of these guys, you're like, how are they doing this all the time? It's because they got momentum. They're putting one foot in front of the other. They're not cutting any corners. It's not just their muscles doing stuff. It's not just their looks doing stuff. It's a complete package. It's their mind, it's their body, it's their soul, it's their spirit. They're putting every single thing into it. Think about how you're spending your time. It is fun to mess around with your friends and make fun of them and talk shit. Like that's what football's all about. At least that's how I remembered it. It can be a lot of fun, but think about how you're spending your time. Think about, hey, can I get an extra 15 minutes? If I sneak out of here now, can I get an extra 15 minutes to go in a hot tub? Or can I get an extra 15 minutes to rest? Can I get to bed earlier? Most people are playing from behind all the time. And when people say there is no tomorrow, there is a tomorrow. But the fucking secret to life is that it starts today. And it starts right now. It starts every night when you're thinking about going to bed or watching Netflix. Or again, you're trapped in Instagram, bubble butts. You can't stop staring at them. When you're in those traps and you're falling for that kind of stuff, it's okay to do a little bit of it. But you got to think about, can I be spending my time a little bit more wisely? How many of you guys are going to be eligible for the NFL draft this year? yeah, man, this is a really important stage right here, isn't it? This is a really important phase. And if you can start to lock yourself in, it's sometimes hard for some people to understand. You know, if you've never been enlightened, or if you never kind of got to the other side where you don't mind saying no to sex or drugs or whatever temptations are laid out in front of you, if you don't have principles behind you that tell you the reasons on why to say no and tell you the reasons on why to stay in your lane and what to say yes to, then you're never going to really truly understand what it is that you need on a daily basis to continue to get better. It's a long journey. All this stuff takes a long time. Strength is never weakness. There's never been a point in anyone's life where they got into a fight and said, holy shit, if I was just a little bit weaker, that would have been awesome. I would have got my ass kicked that much more. Nobody wants to be weaker. Nobody wants to fight from behind. You guys can start out each day ahead of people if you work on something very simple, getting to bed on time. I know, it's like, what the hell are we preaching here, right? 8 hours of sleep. I know Coach is telling you already. He's probably over there, told him 87 times. 8 hours of sleep is a minimum requirement. If you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, guess what? You're not working hard enough. If you're cutting any corners right now, you're not working hard enough. That message that my brother was telling me about my deadlift, I felt I was putting everything into it. And when he said you're not working hard enough, I thought about it and I was like, he's fucking right. I'm not working hard enough. There's always an opportunity to get better. There is always an opportunity to get better. The most talented guy in this room can be better than he was yesterday. The worst guy in this room can be better than he was yesterday. Out of all the speaking engagements that I've done, of all the seminars I've ever done, I've never run into one person, handicapped or otherwise, that doesn't possess the ability to be better, be a better person, be a better dad, be a better son, be a better friend, be a better lifter, be a better runner, be a better football player, be a better collegiate athlete, be a better pro football player. You guys are going to the fucking NFL. How amazing is that? How fucking cool is that? I know Coach has got 2 years in a row with one of you guys catching a touchdown pass to basically seal the game. 2 years in a row, catching a fucking touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. Do you guys have any idea how many touchdown passes, how many game-winning touchdown passes I caught in my backyard as a kid to win the Super Bowl? Hundreds, if not thousands of them. But you guys are actually doing it. You're actually fulfilling a lot of people's dreams and fantasies. You guys have an awesome opportunity in front of you. Make sure you take advantage of the time that you got. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Thank you guys very much.